Hey everybody, Mark and Jonathan from the WheatonBoyz YouTube channel here. It is March, and that usually means for us we are getting ready to boil some sap. So if you want to learn how we do it, stay tuned, because that's what's happening today. How's your father?
Hey, good morning. Jonathan here with WheatonBoyz, and we are out checking sap and boiling this morning. We had a good freeze last night, warming up to about 50 today. The sap is running. I've collected all my buckets so far this morning. We got about 51 gallons, and I've already got probably a couple inches in some buckets again, so hoping for another good pull. So far this year, we're at about 5 gallons of syrup made, 220 gallons of sap collected. So we're doing good. We're shooting for that 7-gallon goal this year. I've had a lot of people this year ask me how I do certain things when it comes to the maple syrup making process. So we figured we'd make a little video explaining some of these things, from tapping to the boil to the finish. So by no means are these the right or wrong way to do this stuff. This is just kind of some of the things that I've found over the past decade of making maple syrup that work for me. So we'll dive right into it. So normally I figure out where I want to go with my tap, and I'll knock the back off just to get a good flat spot. Now, with the size taps that I use, we're using a 5/16 drill bit, and we want to go in about 1.5 to 2 inches. If you start getting more than that, you can get into the heart of the tree and you get past the sapwood, so that's not where you want to be. So you want to try and drill your holes straight and avoid getting the wobble in there, because you can get leakage around it. So start the hole, and you'll have to clean it. I typically blow it out just to keep the junk out of the tap. This is just one of the types of taps I use. This is actually a bigger tap with a reducer on it, but that's all I've got left right now, so that's what we're using. And get it started on there. Take a crimper tool, that tap's bent a little bit, and just press that on there, and now you're set up. The big thing that you want to pay attention to when you're putting your tap in is you don't want to drive it too far. I've made the mistake in the past. You can see the sap starting to run out of there. Like I said, I've made the mistake in the past of driving the taps in too far, and what you'll end up doing is you'll split the tree top and bottom, and it won't seal, and you'll lose a lot of sap. You'll see your sap running down the tree versus running in your hose. So kind of my rule of thumb is I get it started, and you want to tap, you can kind of feel the resistance. It'll bounce back on you when it's seated right there, and that's really all you need to do. I started using buckets. Yeah, that line's a little long. We'll come back and trim her after, but I started using spiles with buckets that you hang off the tree, and it is a pretty big pain in the ass when it comes to keeping water out with covers. So I think probably 5 years ago I switched to buckets with with lines, and it's much better setup. So that's kind of the down and dirty of tapping the tree. We're gonna probably go tap a few more, and then we'll head over to the stove and take a walk around that. All right, so we're over here at the boil station, and you can see the setup we got going. I made this stove a few years ago out of a 300-gallon oil tank. They call it a rocket stove, and it's been a good rig. I can do with my little turbo setup here, I can do about 10 gallons an hour. I made some modifications this year. I cut the top off here so that the warming pan, just a little while ago, this was boiling up top. So got a feeder pan and got the main pan here. This is the better part of 51 gallons that we got going from this morning, and I'd say probably in another hour or so we'll be done with it. But it serves the purpose. The interior is all brick, so it's insulated. You know, you can put your hand on it down here, so it's pretty efficient. But when it comes time to draw off, we'll turn the pan sideways and pull off onto some sawhorses, and we'll start the filter process from there. Once that's done, we'll finish things off on a turkey burner, and that'll be the end of the process.
Evaporating pan. Got a new preheating pan.
Oh, it's gonna be a boiling pan.
Starting to get a little boil going. Melting her down on the top. guy? You got any of that how's your father? I am headed north this weekend to make some of that liquid gold, tapped, boiled, and bottled in Norridgewock, Maine. How's your father?
How's your father?
How's your father?
Hail's your father?
How's your father?
How's your father?
Listen, kids, I told you, we're on the way to the store to get some How's Your Father.
How's your father?
Going to be a good weekend, probably our last boil. And we're going to see what we got. We got a ton of sap. It's been running hard the past week and a half. And we got some work ahead of us. So we'll get to it. Getting the boil on.
Oh, yeah.
We got some sap.
It's friggin' nice to have some milk.
Checking the sugar content.
We're well over 3 on the average, over probably 80 gallons. We're gonna be here a while, bud.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. We're here last weekend of boiling. We've had a good week. We collected about 200 gallons of sap this week, so looking good. We're over 3% sugar, and we're cooking down the final batch. We did 60 yesterday and got 140 to go between today and probably tomorrow morning. But just wanted to check in. You know, last week we did some boiling, and we're gonna do it a little bit different this week. That was my personal stash for me. This week we're gonna do it for people that I give it to, or people that buy it. And really the only difference is we're gonna cook it a little bit longer. We're gonna go to 66 bricks. That's kind of the standard for USDA. And really all that is it's evaporating more water so that there's less chance of mold in the jars. So we're almost done here. Been checking it. Probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes we'll be pulling this off. We'll filter it and we got another batch done.
Push.
Yummy, yummy.
Good morning, people. We are down to the last 5-gallon pail of sap for the season. We got the boil going. Finishing some off over here. It's the last hurrah for that liquid gold. How's your father? Pouring in the last of it.
The one we've been waiting for. 413 gallons on the year.
Jonathan's in the stage of finishing off this batch. Do multiple filtrations to get all the crud out as you boil it. Keeps it a little cleaner.